I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. This is Ethel, and you'll also meet her in one of the readings in this course, and the title is Healing Within the Red Willow. And it's a lovely story about healing. So, Ethel has given me some insight into something for adult education, and it has to do with how we think about special education, those who don't fit into the one size fits all box. So, Ethel, share a little bit about your granddaughter. Can you tell us something about her?
I have a granddaughter. She came to live with me when she was 4 or 5 years old, and she was diagnosed with ADHD. So I worked with the school, extensive testing, and found that her gift of learning was through vision. And my role was to work with the school to make sure that she was able to utilize that gift in her learning. Both the school and I had taken many steps to accomplish that. So her idea was she came home one day and she said that she had been bullied because she was in special ed. And I had said to her, I said, well, you have a special gift, and that's what you need to remind them, is that you're learning in a special way. So being able to be an Anishinabekwe and help my granddaughter get through the bullying of it, the understanding for the teachers of educating my granddaughter, emphasizing the vision part as we as Anishinabek people do. So my granddaughter is now, throughout all this time, is now going to become the teacher with the rest of the students, where she will be talking about telling them that I can help with what she's learned throughout the years of her visioning, of her learning, because now she is moving out of the special ed class and into a regular class. So her accomplishment is a great one, and the school and I have worked really hard for her to keep her education, and the gift of her visioning was never ever set aside, but used. And in this sense where my granddaughter was able to use it culturally as well for herself by the teachings that I provided along the way.
So you're teaching as an Anishinaabe grandmother. You were balancing the possibly negative effects of the school system, and working with them. So, I mean, it was really like two worlds coming together and complementing each other.
That's right. It doesn't work unless both are willing to do the work. And I was very, I guess as a grandmother, is very adamant to make sure that happened for my granddaughter, because her education was important.
Right.
Not so much as we are adults, but the teachers need to realize that, I guess they need to realize there's another part of each student.
Right.
And we utilize the gift that we found by visioning. So my granddaughter didn't really use a pen and paper, because her greatest gift was to vision, learning by vision. And everything was done by vision. At home, when we did spelling, it was done by vision. And the way I did it with her was, if she needed to spell like butterfly, I would have a picture of a butterfly, and then I would talk about the dance of the butterfly from the powwow, and just bring her into a more visioning part of it, and then sit down and say, okay, so butterfly is spelt this way, and then bringing it in pieces of visioning. So it's butter and fly, and she would put that vision together. So when she was able to do the test, she would get it correct.
So, I mean, you're most definitely her teacher as well as a grandmother.
Yes, I am.
um, now, like the benefits that she's had from this special ed, the special attention. How did what do you think about that when you think of any child in school? The idea of time to focus on what their special gifts are and to give them a place to show them. Like, is that happening?
It has happened in the last 5 years. It's very important to the child. It's also important to the person that's educating them, for them to have an understanding about who we are as Native people, to be Anishinaabeg, to be walking on the earth and utilizing those gifts that Creator has give us within ourselves.
Right.
And I think as soon as the mainstream can understand that component of our learning, then it comes together. So you're walking the same line rather than trying to learn, I guess, walking hand in hand rather than walking separate. Because my granddaughter is a pure example of that, where we were sure she would take a long time and forever be in a special ed class until she was done school.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's only been 5 years and she's ready to move out of that class. And she's teaching about bullying, that she is very special. She has this gift from Creator. And that's what she's carrying on into a non-special ed class. Mm-hmm. To be, I believe that she's given parts of to other students and other teachers about bullying, how to handle bullying. Mm-hmm. And how to be strong for yourself about bullies that come along and try to say things. Oh, you're in this special ed class. Yeah, I'm in the special ed class because I am special. I learn by vision. I have a gift. Mm-hmm. And when my granddaughter started speaking for herself that way, things changed. So it's a matter of everybody being on the same page, whether you're Native or non-Native, the school working together. And the parents especially. Mm-hmm. The parents have to be involved at home of how to present to the child, giving those teachings of caring, loving, respect, and leaning towards their special piece of education, how they can learn. My granddaughter just learns completely by vision. She has her own iPad and she watches very educational things. Mm-hmm. I don't see her, she doesn't have a problem with reading and writing anymore, because she's worked so hard in the vision part first. And then we worked on bringing in all those other components that she needed.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any sort of lessons from this that you think we can take when we think about adult education? If you were the teacher of an adult group. Now, I know you've done many workshops. I guess I should say you are an adult educator.
Right.
Right? I think, yeah, I think you're recognized in that sense. So speaking as an adult educator, what lessons do you think we can carry from what you've seen with your grandchildren's learning? What lessons can we carry into adult education?
I think a lot of it has to do with patience and time, being able to remember who we are as Aboriginal people, bringing in those, it's hard to say because when you're a grandmother, you're just a grandmother and you're not realizing what kind of lessons or what you're providing It just happens. And as an educator, I always like to tell stories in that learning process, because kids learn better when they're hearing stories. Um, I know with my granddaughter, I would do stories and I would use her name in the story. So when you're making things about them, um, in a good way, in a good sense, they learn more.
Would you say that's also true with the adults that you would have in your workshops?
Oh yes, definitely. With the adults in the workshops that I've done, I've always bring in extensive storytelling. An example would be I did a Dreamcatcher workshop, and rather than just saying how the Dreamcatcher is made, what's it used for, I brought in the story of where it came from. So, and then sitting one on one, sharing stories with them while we're doing the webbing or the cutting or whichever, and just being free and being able to laugh. Laughter is a big part of it. But I know that sharing a lot of stories and going beyond just of what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in more helps for people. It's a lot about educating them.
And how do you deal with, you know, the different levels of ability, just like we see in kindergarten? Some kids come to school with lots of advantages of having, you know, the time and instruction by their parents and family, and some come with real big gaps. They're maybe they're not confident. They don't feel safe, and we get the same thing with a group of adults. So if you were in one of your workshops, how do you deal with that difference in abilities, that difference in you know, emotional stability even?
Well, I think a lot of that is, again, the patience and being able to sit with them and talk kind, build their confidence, build them up rather than build them down. Um, Sometimes it's just they need that somebody to listen. Another example that I could give was at the school, um, bringing the kids together. Um, Kids would come in and you don't know what their family setting is. You don't. It could be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever setting it is, but they're upset because something happened at home. So one of the things that we did at the school was, because they have this no hands policy, was I asked the teacher to bring in a teddy bear. So when they brought in the teddy bear, each child that morning was to hug that teddy bear and leave, and just say how they felt that day. And that gave the teacher an idea of where that student was that day, if they didn't have a good time at home. So to focus more on that student for their emotion. And then when they left, they hugged the teddy bear when they left and thanked the teddy bear for the great day they had. So it's a matter of implementing all those things and thinking of something different out of the box than in the box of education, because you're going to go a lot farther, grasping all the emotions of other people. I know when I did the Dreamcatcher workshop, there was one lady there that was very upset about all sorts of stuff, and I just sat with her and I talked to her about the feather, the quill of the feather, where the oil sits, and about letting those things that bother her just seep off that feather. Like her life of webbing, just the webbing itself, saying, okay, in this webbing, this is what we're weaving, and yeah, it's all chaos when we start, but when we're done, because we've worked so hard, it's no longer chaos. It looks beautiful. So those are the types of things that I share in workshops with people that are going through things. But again, it's part of being that person to be able to pick up those little things that people are struggling with. And no words was said with this woman about what was going on in her life, but there's also, you can feel the tension, paying attention to the energy, and she felt really good when she left.
Well, I'm sure that anybody attending one of your workshops would feel really good when they leave.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this little bit about education with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.